This is Marnie Watson. I'm talking to Rachael West and Anna Withers here in my office, and we were just talking about how you became a plant person. And you were telling me how you started out in San Diego, you went to a winery, and you said a person named Susan Weed. Is that their actual name?
So I don't know. She might have rebranded herself, but she was a little bit more feral than what I am, like even to this day that I could become. Now, Rosemary Gladstar, definitely. I have a multiple of her herbal books. I would highly recommend going through the classes, or even the Chestnut School of Herbs, like what we had talked about. Really, really down to earth with applicable uses. But for me, it was about the accessibility to being able to do it yourself without needing to plant it or grow it. So I'm not saying I don't have a green thumb.
I'm so interested. Why did that appeal to you in particular? Why was the accessibility, there's just plants here that you can use? Why did that, what did that spark in you?
So if you look at my arm right now, you'll notice that I've got weed tattoos around, but I've got a center river is what I like to refer to it. I've never been grounded or rooted. I've always been a tumbleweed from being having a traumatic upbringing, to feeling disconnected from the people who were raising me, or just like this tumbleweed of a human, knowing that I have family that came from overseas, that immigrated here, and then knowing and reading the history of what we did to the Native Americans, and then seeing this broken food history through working, especially with the gardens now, of seeing how weeds are bad and vegetables are good, but yet all of these things that they're throwing away have more nutrient density from the research that I've done, like, say, chickweed's a superfood. Being able to have more of the iron and potassium than, like, say, kale. But anytime I tell anybody that an orange has more potassium than a banana, and I'm like, they just had a PR. That was a good PR person.
Campaign.
And so with me, I'm like, I'm a weed PR person, and so it was about knowing that anybody in any walk of life, wherever they were, had some kind of food history story that they could seek out, and I wanted to find them all. Like, I wanted to find the mustard. Like, I went into this valley in California after a monsoon, where the yellow mustards just fruit up and bloom the whole valley, and it's like, but it's because the Spanish used to use it to find their way back home. They put a plant as they were traveling north, and then as they saw the plants, they knew they were on the way back home. And look, it just lights me up that I'm like, this was me as a nomadic traveler, this was me 1,000 years ago, and this is me having this human experience today in 2024. But it's through the movement of plants and people that we're all connected. And I've always said I identify as a bird, because they can go anywhere, or they can, but like, just seeing the movements and connecting it, and then knowing that, like, this is the greatest time that I could ever be alive for food, because not just like how we used to trade spices. I mean, like I said, we brought 2.5 million Chinese to build the railroad, and they brought their favorite foods that they knew were going to grow for them and their families along that system. And so now the Ozarks are this melting pot, this delicious soup pot of Japanese plants and French plants and Armenian plants. And because we all came together to live in some place and traveled, it's a food story that I can connect through the forest. And it's not things that only the Native Americans. There are a dozen or more plants that I eat on a regular basis that somebody who was native to here in the 1600s would have zero access to. And so that's the part that I'm like, this is the greatest time for food, to have access and accessibility, because we've already seeked so many little Easter eggs that are hiding now that we have forgotten about. And that's that whole feral part of me that then gets like excited, where I'm like, put me anywhere blindfolded and I could make you food and anywhere. Like, you could put me in the middle of any city and I could give you 5 foods by the end of an hour easily. For sure. Yeah. Just because things that are even domesticated, like we planted ginsengs all in the early 1900s here all around in town. And ginseng is something that you would have to buy from an Oriental market and get the golden tea and pay $10 or $20 for, or you could just go on C Street and like hold out your basket and let the wind blow
and get it there.
And so
it's really interesting how the plants, stay and have rooted and continue their lives even after the people who have brought them there originally have gone. Like when you're walking through the woods and you see the daffodils, and this is a homestead, because that's what people do when they build a house. You plant flowers around it.
Oh, sure.
And so you find, I like, on my little 3 acres of property, I walk around, I'm like, oh, I wonder what was here, because I can see there was something here, because there's flowers
I find wild
in a
garlic
square. And
in
here
the
we're
forest
going. There's
way.
something going on. Yeah.
I find wild garlic and wild asparagus by looking for daffodils in the spring, because if it was an old homestead there, garlic and the asparagus, the root will last forever. And a lot of times peach trees and fruit trees you'll also find. I found an old peach orchard on the middle of somebody's property while foraging. They asked me to go look for morels, and I showed back up and I said, I only found one little valley over here. I found a peach orchard, and she was like, nah. And I was like, no, it's definitely, they're domesticated. They're not it's not our wild plum. And I, like, walked her over there. She was like, we took an old barn down from over here on this bottom. But, like, over there, like, for sure, there was an old orchard where there was a homestead. And they had never been on that side of the forest. And so, for me, foraging is, like, that Easter egg, that scavenger hunt, for sure.
And that's something that I told you I was in the Amazon for a while. And that was something that was really interesting that has sort of come out over the last couple of decades. That Europeans would go to the Amazon and they would see wild nature in their eyes, in European eyes, because it doesn't look like a farm like Europeans would.
But they didn't realize that it was a food forest.
It's all domesticated. It's all purposefully planted there. Mm-hmm. The idea that, you just walk there and you just pick a plum here and you have like a peach there. No, that didn't happen by accident. That was...
There are people that are in there moving it around and doing...
of years of native
selection.
Amazonians who are planting things to make food forests for themselves. And Europeans were blind to this until super recently.
But that's why I've always argued that when people say that farming, and I'm like, as a forager, I already farm because I already move crops from the river bottom to the front of the garden bed so that they're closer behind my kitchen window. And you're telling me that that's a new development, that the native woman would not have done the exact same? Like, that's insane.
No.
Of course you would have moved all your seeds, or you would have
That's how human beings began agriculture.
That's what,
we got the stuff we like, and we plant it around our houses, and then, we grow more and more of it. I love it.
Yeah, it's just...
Okay. So you do farm in a certain sort of way, as in you manipulate forest gardening. Love it. Have you done that in places other than the Ozarks? And are you from the Ozarks originally, or where are you originally from?
I'm a Texas native.
Okay, you're Texas.
But I've just kind of traveled
a little bit all over.
Yeah.
But you've been in the Ozarks is home now.
At least a decade.
For a decade.
So, yeah.
And for the foreseeable future as well?
At least the next 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
I have a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Okay.
And once they're graduated, there's no promises. I'll always keep the cabin here in the Ozarks. I like the Ozarks. I could never see another January or February in my life in the Ozarks and be completely content, though. Honduras is, I love the jungle. I love the beach. And there's a part of me that loves the culture down south that I could definitely see myself living an island life part-time for sure. I'm a Texan, so Mexicans, like, I'm telling you, like, little, short, industrious humans that want to welcome into their house with hugs and tamales, like, they're my people. And I'm not around enough of them here in the Ozarks. Like, I'm just not. Like, I need somebody worrying about how many sofapillas I'm eating, and then I'm looking a little thin. Like, I just need that kind of concern in my life, and those are my people. And so when I get down to South America, you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
Like, there's just this, like, you don't knock on the door, it's your coat, because it's your coat. Like, it's just a different, and so... Texan got washed into me by being so close down to the south of the border, and then being in San Diego was the same way. I was just always so close to being dipped in that culture that I feel so very landlocked here. Yeah. From people that are colder.
Right.
I don't. People say, "Oh, Midwest hospital." Like, that is not real. Like, you guys, you go to Savannah, Georgia, and you're somebody's, like, you're calling her Nana in 3 days.
Right.
Like, you don't understand.
Right. Your family.
What hospitality is. Like, when, like, no. When Nana's checking out your hair and telling you got something in your teeth after 2 days, like, that's how your family. This is not this atmosphere. And I don't know if it's because of I feel like there's something with the Civil War and how we were such a divided state that the people here are so divided still. Yeah. And I never lived anywhere where it was divided. Like, I always lived everywhere where everybody kind of, even though Texans are not, I'm the most liberal person you've ever met that came out of Texas. Like, and so my mom's like, she's the bad guy. Oh yeah, no, every Christmas I wear the shirts like, oh, I'm not even like dire biblical, but all of this food should be something that they would be clinging to. Like, it should be like, this is all Eden, like, it's all given to us. It's like a divine right. Like, every bird is provided for it. It says that. We're all, and that's what the food story, that's why I say the vegetables aren't real, because if you can get that out of somebody's head, that this is a poor person thing to do, or a rich person thing, and if I can get all the rich people wanting me to identify their pawpaws, and I can give the poor people the free pawpaws, like, I'm down with however it needs to work, but there has to be some common denominator, because food is people, and people are food, and there isn't a gentrified way of food.
Yeah.
Yet we try to put this balance of like who's allowed to, or entitled to have.
Exactly.
And that's why I like that this project or the spice project through the gardens is because we'll be able to get the farmers getting the food and the poor people getting the food, but it's the same food.
Exactly. So
that's why forage, though.
I love it.
From that perspective, is because it's accessible. And that's where the accessibility is that it's gentrified, yes. Bougie enough to be in a market at $16 or $20, yes. But could that fund somebody the exact same thing?
Absolutely.
Yes.
In your
and
front
that's
yard.
if you're not, yeah.
Walking down the street, yes. So do you find foraging, farming, doing food things here in the Ozarks, how is that different from in Texas or San Diego, for example?
I would say the crossover is 80% anywhere that I've been. There are redbuds all across the United States. There is sumac all across the United States. There is dandelion. There is kudzu all across the South anyway, up to Savannah. There are roses. There is yucca. Like, there are so many plants. When I was out in Arizona in the desert, there was lamb's quarter, and there was 5 or 6 other really normal weeds that I would have seen around here, like the oxeye daisies and stuff that were just all in bloom because it was monsoon season there.
Right.
And so I was like, I thought I was going to have to eat cactus and feral hog out here in the desert, and apparently look at all of the salad. And so, and then when we were in D.C. for the Smithsonian, there was, while we don't have cypress, sorry, it took me a minute, too many tabs open. While we don't have cypress here, in the area that I live in, being a Texan, I knew that cypress was also edible, just like our pine or anything. And so I was able to forage cypress cones while we were there and put them in sugar and be able to use them as a demo. Right. And so even in D.C., I could have foraged all around because of the ornamental plants and the invasive specifically. So if you've got an invasive list of 30 or 40, they're found everywhere. Yeah. That's what. And then we also have like our reeds. Reed was planted as like something for around ponds or pretty, but it's edible. But everywhere that has a valley or a wash,
you're gonna find it.
Has it. And so like driving along, you'll like this. One of my son's favorite games to play with me, especially in front of people, because he likes to brag about what I do, but he doesn't like telling people out loud. He'll go, "Mom, do you see anything edible right now?" Just like as a scout, and I'm like, "Oh yeah." That, but he'll do it in front of a grocery store, or he'll do it at a park in front of one of his friends. He's like, "Do we see anything edible right now?" And then we'll just like do the check 5, and he'll be like, how many can you find in the next 2 minutes as fast?"
Amazing.
So
I love it. So do you have any family history that has sort of aided in any of this? I know you said your family of origin is a little turbulent, but did you come from gardeners, farmers, herb people?
My great-grandparents kept a garden like anybody did in the olden days, like that, like in the 50s, 60s, 70s. They had a garden out back. So my grandmother grew up on a garden, but they didn't have one. I knew my great-grandparents. My grandparents didn't die until I was at least 16 or 17. I was already driving a car. So I did know my great-grandparents. My great-grandfather was of a believe Cherokee heritage. I haven't had we haven't found the roll cards, but I've got his father, which was Little Barrymore Rainwater, and we found his roll card. So I don't know, or sign. He knew the weeds to leave in the garden, but I really didn't glean anything besides like picking blackberries or wild grapes.
Okay.
We got like a wisteria to bring in the house and things like that. It really wasn't until the herb class that I really got into plants, and it was more from the holistic side, and it wasn't until moving to the Ozarks that I saw the amount of medicinal plants as a use. And then when I started going, I need to figure out, so what I did was I picked up a wildflower ID guide, and on the side of the wildflower ID guide had blue, red, yellow, purple, all the colors, and I could open it to the chapter when I found a flower, and I would mark whether it was edible or not. And so within a week I had like 40, because of the way that my OCD brain works. Within a year I probably had 100 or 2. I couldn't stop obsessing. And I have a photographic memory. Okay. Not in a way that I can recognize numbers, but in a way I can recognize the placement of things. And so I would look at books and I would memorize the pictures, and then I wouldn't remember the name, but I would like go back out and I'm like, all right, purple, 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 purple. And then I'm like, okay, this is your name now. And now I'm going to look at you and I'm going to call you by your name every day. And so I would like put a little sticker or something on it, or sometimes even with a permanent marker right on the leaf itself, like a crazy psycho. But it was really finding the uses that were food uses that got me into teaching for the gardens and the others. And that was only an Ozark thing. It wasn't any, I was just looking at it from the herbal perspective of how can I turn it into a tea?
Yeah.
Or a salad dressing or a tonic or fire cider.
Right.
But not food. And then...
not like lunch.
Yeah, and I picked up an Osage, a Osage book on Osage food plants, and I walked a river bottom, and I found, like, Sochan, and I realized that I never needed to grow collard greens again, because I liked the flavor more, and it was just as medicinal, but I had, like, a river bottom coated in it, and I was like, garden! Look at me, I garden! Would y'all like to come out to my garden? Don't you want to see all my food trees? And so, and then, like, a real forager, or a real farmer is like, this is not a farm, and I'm like... I got 50 pounds of acorns last year off that tree. I don't know about you, but how many Nutella nuts did you get off your hazelnuts? Like, but the weirdest part for me that I think is good for you to note is that other places have this idea that the Ozarks are this shoot first and ask later. And I'm not saying that I haven't experienced the weird bunker people, because I can tell you some stories on literally some dude in a four-wheeler driving me to the middle of the field and be like, here's where we are, this is where the classroom is, and like going downstairs and there's women in skirts. Like this is how I disappear forever. But people have been so very willing to not just share their land with me, but share the food, especially invasive food, from this side of them, especially the master naturalists and the herb society people who have, rich people usually have access to a lot of land. They've already been integrated into Granny, already purchased it for very, very cheap. And so the idea that they would allow access to somebody who's using it for food to give to a pantry or for education, I have been astounded by the people in the Ozarks who are willing to share land for that reason. You start talking about morels or hunting deer, and it's a completely different situation than garlic mustard or something. So I'm not saying it's a broad stroke, but I'm saying the amount of people that you would think, the demographic of what we were talking about before, if it's for food solutions or native, they're willing. And I think that's where our... That's interesting. That's our magic. That's our magic in between, and that's what I haven't been able to figure out with the gardens. Is because if I can go to Bob and Barb and they have 400 acres, they gave me the keys. I have multiple classrooms and thousands of acres that have been given to me, Marnie. Like the Childs gave me 10 acres with a classroom on it on their 400 acre farm that we're going to for the WOW school. Just for 10 years at nothing because they wanted to see me use it. Bob and Barb gave me the keys to their cabin on the bottom of their 400 acre at Bull Creek, and I can just go teach and walk around, and I could send them a text today and say, hey, I'm bringing 6 students, and they would not care because it's for education.
Right.
And if it's for education and we can figure out a removing of this invasive plant medicine in a way that we could have students processing it, whether it's at the college or whether it's at the WOW or the ag school.
Right.
That's the solution, because it brings the people that don't have access, that can't pay for the classes, versus the people who have the land who don't want the plants to exist there.
That's interesting.
Like there is this for like sure, because they will let you on. And the conservation, you're not allowed to dig or even sell crops. But anytime I call them and I'm like, hi, I'm the expert and this is what I do, they're like, yeah, absolutely. Come take whoever you want. I don't care even if you're charging them. If you're removing garlic mustard and you're bagging it, like my name's Chief. You just tell him that Chief told you to be down there. And writing in my notes, Chief told me to be down there. And so it's like there aren't any blocks with that side of wild food, which makes it even more accessible.
There aren't any blocks for you because you're the expert, but can just anybody walk in there?
No, and that's why I want to use it. Or a way that they could go at the local farms if they were weeding it on a free weeding day where they could take home all of the weeds. But you have to have the line for the education out there first for the farmer.
So the education goes both ways. It's not just for sort of the ordinary people, these are the plants you can eat, but also for the farmers, like you have all these things you're not using that other people can use. Yeah. Can they come in and use it?
Or could you have your students dry it so that it could be a fundraiser?
Yeah.
On either side, if you don't want people coming onto the land. But I think that just like with Miley, she's been able to have people give them land who wouldn't have given other people land through the network. And if I feel that if I have people who would be willing to give me the forage, there's got to be a way to make that dance in the middle.
Right.
For the people who don't have access on the other side who wouldn't get the ask.
Yeah. Who wouldn't even maybe know to ask.
Right.
Yeah.
But Mama Jean's is going to be putting in these QR codes.
Yeah,
hopefully.
tell me about this. Tell me what you got here.
So this is the foraging certification, but I have been able to, I've got these QR codes that I can make that will constantly change with new recipes. And so, for instance, if we have the Market Garden Farm with Cox, and they're able to grow one specific type of, let's just say yarrow, for medicinal uses, and they were able to put it in the hanging flower section right there by the herbs at Mama Jean's, we would be able to have a QR code that says, learn all about this plant. They could click it, and it's me, and I'm like, hey, I'm Rachel. I'm out here in a field, and this is where yarrow actually grows. And then, like, the next scene is, I'm down here at Cox Farm, and I'm meeting this farmer. This is something that can help you with blood clotting. It's a styptic. It can help you with all this. Like, it can help you with if you've got canker sores, if you've got a baby with a fever. These are different ways that you can use this in your day-to-day medicine, and you can also leave it hanging in your kitchen until you need it. And people, I feel like the way that they want to buy the garlic rims or the other the bunches of herbs that they could go home with, if there was a way that they could educate on how it's used, that's the solution to talking them into it. It's like I'm in the grocery store like, hey, how are you? You like that jelly? You know how you can use it? But like from the medicinal education side. Yeah. And so they're like anything that the gardens can grow that we can put in, even as an edible weed. We can literally have, like, eat the weeds, like a sign with a QR code, and they're willing to put it in there. And so I think that that's figuring out that but I think that if we did the QR codes at parks or even a conservation center at the beginning where you could get a sheet or you could take a picture of it.
Right.
And then anywhere around that you saw that marker, you could scan it and see what it was and know that you could eradicate it.
That's very cool.
So that's the step 2.
Sort of where you're moving with things. What plants are you especially excited about in the Ozarks?
The top of my list right now, I would say Sochan, and that's the one that I posted about today. That's the one that was exported by King Charles I into the garden that I talked about with you a little bit ago. From a food source perspective, a lot of our conservation areas, the whole bottom valley, I walk waist deep in this plant everywhere. 80% of goldfinches get their seeds and aphids from it. So it's an incredible wildlife plant as well. And so something like soybeans that could be grown for pennies on the dollar in a giant field, if you could let Sochan grow on your river bottom, even though it floods, it's made for that. It's from there. And if you could have fields of Sochans that were helping the wildlife and also using it as a crop like you would, it's insect repellent a lot more than a collard green, but you can treat it just like a collard green. And so I think that having plants like that we can connect to agricultural crops or leaving it be, as we would like to say, just let it be the way that it was, and figuring out how to eat that or how to properly, like, cause like we were talking about the Amazon and the way that they did their jungles, like that's how I feel about certain, so sumac would be another great one because it can be grown and propagated and easily managed in stands like elderberry. Elderberry 100%, just because of our farming here in the Ozarks. It's already done for us. Yeah. And how I believed in how Welch's used to gather from 10,000 different farmers to have one single product. That's what we're missing now. And I wanted my elderberry good stuff to be 10,000 farmers for one product, for sure.
We just planted 25 elderberries on our land.
But being able to connect people in all of these farms for a thing, I think that that's very important.
Yes, absolutely.
So sumac, elderberry, we have in all of our oak hickory forest, we have a wild oregano, Dittany, that is, it has the highest thymol and carvacrol of any oregano found. So you can buy an oregano oil at Mama Jean's for any type of, so many infections. But the amount for those oregano oils, if you compare it to our OG that's out here, is like a watered down 20% version. And so the fact that you can, matter of fact, here, you can experience this today. Put one of these, if you don't mind tasting like Italian food, put one of these in your mouth, chew it around, and you will feel it numb your tongue. This is wild oregano. This is Dittany.
It smells amazing.
And so, it's the carvacrol is the spicy, spicy bite, and it's actually really good for your heart. And then the thymol is naturally numbing. But this spice blend literally grows in big clumps in all of the understory of our oak hickory forest. And so any farmer who rides around and has got a 4-wheeler path could get bushels of this stuff and be able to have a blend. And you could put this with salt to water it down to have it as a dusting salt for the Ozarks. But something like this that would be, and then I can boil this in pizza sauce, but this is something that we don't have to plant.
It's just
because
there.
it's a mint. The best part about this is
God.
you can get double, because it's got herbivory overcompensation is what it's called. When a plant, you nip off a corner of it and then it wants to separate and divide. It is made for people to pick on it all the time, and they become bushier and bushier and sexier to me. And so, and so that's the thing about this plant, is the more that our farmers would want to come and crop it, the more that it's going to bush out, so they would get multiple harvests through the season of something. And because it's so medicinal, I think that this would be something that we could have in Mama Jean's, or you'd be able to have in an extract later.
Yeah.
But just having access to it, even if it was like, and the thing that I think that we should do specifically with the QR codes is, from my heart, I don't want people to have to need me as much as I know that I need to sell something. But what if I only had to sell this one time with a QR code to you, and there was a QR code, and then you realized that it was in the back of your forest because you got the whole walkthrough video on IDing.
Right.
And then do you have this on your property that you could sell to us? And then you have a whole list of people who would like to become aggregators.
Yeah.
Because then everybody has access, even if they're getting it. Even at a food pantry.
How do you deal with the issue of like pesticides and chemicals being sprayed in different areas with sort of harvesting from farmers areas that are...
That's a really good question. Because I've worked specifically through the gardens, it's not necessarily, we're not necessarily pro-tractor, we're anti-tractor, but...
Yeah, we practice regenerative agriculture. Our sites and
they just don't. Any of the sites that we've ever worked with in our network are natural farmers. We don't even.
There are some. We don't dictate how people do farm or anything, but all the basis of our education and workshops and our internship, everything steers people toward regenerative agriculture and using organic practices, certified naturally grown, and
no Amish farms. Amish are the worst.
Lots of pesticides.
100%. Not the Amish. It's not just with the pesticides. Their animal husbandry is the worst questionable that I've ever seen in any state I've ever been into. I've seen. I used to work for a dog rescue, and the things that I've seen out of Missouri are.
Is that even for the food that they consume, or just?
Oh, absolutely.
What they sell?
It's a strange like. They don't have mirrors, and so people believe that they're super religious, but they drink Gatorade and will whip a horse in its face until its nose is bloody. Like, they're not, like, they believe in ownership, like the dominion over, like, very strongly. For wives, for children.
Animals are here to be.
Yeah, like, and so, like puppy mills. A lot of the Amish are behind puppy mills and things like that. Like, they don't, so I definitely have and the Amish in Seymour off A highway buy from Cisco. I've snapped many photos and posted them online of the Cisco trucks offloading at the Y highway auction.
You wouldn't think that. You would not think that.
They were in the money business.
So you wouldn't forage off of
never.
land operated by Amish, but for the most part you're not too concerned with other farmers.
Hedgerows? No. I forage out of national forest, and so you're not allowed to sell, and so that's why I have not ever really got into the marketing side of it. Now I have so much private land that if I ever wanted to sell juniper, I could. For me, from the human experience, just like a squirrel can only harvest enough nuts to plant a forest for itself. Like, that's pretty much where my limit is, and I wouldn't ever want to become an aggregator. I always want to take the side of education and empowerment. And if the farms or the people who already have the land could be the aggregate, that's fine for me.
Right.
I don't want to be
you don't want to get
the
into
god
that
in charge of that way. That's just not. And it's not because it wouldn't make money. It's because money isn't life for me. Traveling and adventure and connection is life for me. Right. And if that is my juice, then I don't necessarily, as long as I can do that, I'm okay. As long as I stay in the forest and not in an office most of the time.
So do you consider yourself to be an Ozarkian? Are you...
I guess my...
Put down your roots here?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, the roots. So the Ozarks are the only place that I've ever felt like I belonged to the type of person that would have ended up there, because people who found themselves in the Ozarks were usually outcast or wanted to go off in a holler and self-isolate, or at least rule their own kingdom in the way that they wanted it to. And so there's that part of me that I definitely love, the part of the cabin that's completely quiet. But then I also call Miley at least once a week being like, I've got to get into town and I have to socialize. I need to get it. I got to go like see a store and something out and around, because I am just out here like cawing with the eagles, like sometimes without a shirt, scaring the UPS guy. So,
so you feel like you kind of fit into being in the Ozarks.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm a human, honestly. And I feel like food is where we all are. And I could be in Europe talking about food the same way that I am here. I could be on a stage in California or in DC and telling you the same thing that I'd be telling you today, is that food connects us and food is us. And we, for centuries, have planted ornamentally foods, whether it's the quince for pectin or a redbud for beauty. Right. But there is food sources around us, and you don't have to be out in a forest, though. That's the whole... And so I don't want you to gather out of the center of a sidewalk because of what we put into the salt ice melt. It's not because you can't eat. I'm not afraid of bird poop as much as I'm afraid of whatever the chemicals are in the others you cook it. Like I know that you can kill salmonella with heat, but I don't know about the chemicals that we put in. You know what I mean? And so so many plants are natural leachers, but so many people already have a garden, or they already have a rose bush, and there's already chickweed growing up around the base of it. And so if they're not putting Miracle Grow, they should be able to eat out of their yard and garden. And all of our nature trails, they don't spray unless or you wouldn't really have to worry unless you're right on the main walking path. Right. On any area. So if you can just linger around the edge rows, and so no railroads. Yeah. Like there's certain rules that I tell people, like no railroads, no against
out
the
from
other.
railroads does that rule go for you? Like,
I don't want anything on any downwash for probably an acre or more. A railroad trade, so here, let me show you. I know I do this.
Oh, go right ahead.
So a railroad.
Oh, that's yours. Yeah, go ahead with her.
This is the little train car. And usually the center, though, is always painted, and you can tell the color, and you will see the sloshes. And the darker the color, usually the worse the chemical. And you'll see the sloshes here, just like dripping as they're going, because the top of it, certain chemicals, they have to store open, or else they become and like they build up, and so they're just like open, like leaching, sloshy like the ones. Other. And so I have so many people that'll tell me like, oh, you found thousands of elderberries and stuff down the other, or we found all these like morels, and I'm like, yeah. Somebody got poisoned 2 years ago in California getting morels out of an old apple orchard from cyanide, not cyanide. What is it? What is it that they used to spray? DDT? I want to say like R2D2, but I know that's DDT.
Wow.
Because they used to spray it in the old, and it was still in the and they ate it through the mushrooms.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so, but morels like apple roots.
And they suck the stuff out.
And those old. So you do have to be careful. However, honestly, Marnie, for me, I would say foraging is fig leaves. And somebody would be like, that's something that I grow in my garden, and it's not wild. And I'd say, yeah, but you only eat figs, and you've never got vanilla flavoring from a fig leaf. And if you've ever soaked 5 dried fig leaves in vodka, it smells like vanilla extract. You would never buy vanilla extract again. And so that's foraging.
Right.
Because I'm using it in a way that it wasn't. And so it's like a tea or another. And so for me, the accessibility to food is putting down the barrier of how all food, like, so peaches, do you eat peaches? Yes, but do you use a peach leaf?
Right.
No. How about
blackberry leaves
or mulberries. In Asia, they use mulberry leaf tea. That's the main tea. It's not black tea. Because of the way that the black tea is like processed and stuff, they actually like the mulberry or the green tea. And we look at a mulberry and we only think about its fruit or how messy it is on the birds. But like, how many people have a giant mulberry tree that you literally money grows on trees? Yeah. You just have to harvest it. And so I think that connecting those dots, is a mulberry foraging, is a fig leaf foraging.
Yeah, I would think so.
So I'm listening to this, and it's like, okay, you are reinvigorating old knowledge.
That's because it's foraging, but it's just that, like, how is it used? But it's historically, how is it used? Because I wouldn't have known about mulberries being used as tea leaves, because the Osage didn't use them like tea leaves. That was written down. I had to see that the Japanese have it as an export, as a pu'er tea that they marketed to me for $15.99, to then look at it and go, wait a minute, this is the same exact mulberry that we have on our edge roast, but they're marketing it in a different way.
So how often do you find yourself having to be in a position where you're convincing someone, or like, no, I swear this is what it's used for, blah, 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 like convincing as if they've not heard it before, versus just talking to people about, like, oh, this history, this knowledge was lost, but it's back, and they kind of get it?
So people who come to my classes are usually already sold on, like, wanting to hear me run with it.
Sure.
If I knock on somebody's door, like last week, there was a guy who had oysters growing out front on his tree, and I drove past him 3 days in a row, and I was like, he's not going to harvest them. They're not going to get harvested. And so I knock on the door, and he's like, as long as you promise me you're not going to eat them. And I was like, I promise you I'm not going to eat them. And he's like, and my kids are like, she's gonna eat them. And but he's like, you're gonna die. And I'm like, I'm not gonna die. And so I have to convince these people that I'm not gonna die, but they don't want them. They're more concerned about me as this human that's gonna like die from mushroom poisoning forever.
Because they don't see
and now that it's summer though, and I've got my feral tattoos showing, but sometimes when I look very clean cut when I've got long sleeves on, and I look like the girl next door, and they're like, we just don't know that you know what you're doing. And I'm like, you don't know how feral I am, boss. Like, I need to be driving. Like, my favorite, out of every movie I've ever watched, I know it's got murder and cannibalism in it, but Fried Green Tomatoes. When the girls were riding the train and they were throwing out the produce, I have wanted to be that person my whole entire life. From that moment on, that was my dream goal. Was like, I was going to hop a train and I was going to just like throw out all the cans of food to all the people, and I was going to be like Robin Hood. And now that's how I feel like I'm at with the forage and the forest, where I'm like, anybody want some food? But that's what it, like, that mentality of like, yeah, but nobody wants it anymore. Like, it's just being disregarded.
Right.
But the trauma of my own childhood is that I felt that way, and that the plants are that way. So I've got this weird connection, and like, oh, you're forgotten and you don't matter. You matter to me.
Right.
Yeah, you're like, but it really is like connecting people to that feeling. And I think that there's so many traumatized people that feel that way too. Yeah. Like, they were lost and forgotten, but like, they're antiviral and they're antibacterial and they're all this power, and like, they just forgot that, like, maybe you're just a weed.
I think
maybe you're just a weed.
One thing that you said that I really relate to, because also a person with no roots my whole life, is that when you start to connect to the planet instead of like,
that's what I'm saying,
right?
Yeah,
through the food that grows.
Because you're just like, I'm here with it, and
exactly.
If I was down there, but like, I need to eat pineapple when I'm down in the south because it helps cool me down, but up here it's going to make me too cold.
So it's sort of like a deep human birthright. Like, you do actually belong here. This is your planet. This is your food. It's right here. I think that's a really powerful. I'm
Rh negative, so I've always felt like I had alien blood in me a little bit. Because they're like, it's not the out of Africa or the Neanderthal. They can't like tie it in. So I'm like, woo, woo, woo. What is it? And so that's always been my like, anytime anybody's like, but you're not really like you're from here. And I'm like, well, I do have that Rh negative factor. And people who don't know what I'm talking about are like, what the hell is an Rh negative factor? And I'm like, it's a real thing.
It's a thing.
It's the DNA that makes me from the star people. Mm-hmm. But it also is like, it's freeing, because I'm like, it's okay, I'm not from here. No wonder it doesn't like feel good in this weird, I'm just like, I'm still figuring out how to be a domesticated human. The last time that I was here was about 1,000 years ago. My titties were out by a fire and I was catching fish with my teeth. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just like learning your clothes thing. Like, that's really how it feels though.
So tell me about some challenges that you have run up against in your whole sort of food and foraging and forest farming.
The only
journey.
Negativity has been the master naturalist folks that think that I'm being a proponent of eating the feral foods. One time I posted about milkweed and I had about 5,000 shares, but I had 4 or 5 negative reviews and comments of people being like, she's taking food from the monarchs and she's killing. And I'm like, yeah, but if I planted a 60 by 40 field, am I not? If I planted a 60 by 40 field of asparagus and I harvested it, you wouldn't care.
Right.
Or how about parsley? Monarchs eat parsley. We don't care about the parsley being cut down at all of our local farms that have milkweed butterflies on them, because the farmers are growing the parsley, but yet the milkweed, now that's taboo. But milkweed tastes identical. Baby milkweed tastes just like asparagus shoots. And then the older pods, you can fry them like fried okra. The flowers you can make delicious wine and champagnes out of. I've also turned the latex, and like, you can remove warts, but you can turn the latex into a glue. There's so many things that you could do with milkweed. It's an excellent fiber and cordage plant. It can make you a rope that I could like stand on, and you would not believe that my almost 200-pound person was like standing on a rope that I made with my hands, like that's like this thin. It's incredible.
Seeds in my fridge.
See?
I can take them out on the
Stratified,
20th.
there you
Now
go.
I'm extra excited.
You can also try to scar them with the end of a blade. Try like 3 and see, because it helps them come out of their sheath. Like you can like scar it like a little bit.
I have so many. I will
just to
do
see,
that.
just to do the experiment.
Okay.
I bite them with my teeth. I don't even use a thing. Just letting you know. Just saying that out loud. Just in case you want to be a little bit feral. Like just the third control is like I just want to bite it. But I think that it was like as animals are messing with the pods and jacking around.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I mean, a lot of things are designed to sort of be eaten and pooped out before they.
Well, and there's certain seeds that have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that being part of the food, like you're like, this is it. Now you're pooping out the milkweed seed, and you're like, these are the ones that came from the duck.
I'm dedicated. It's my milkweed. It's going in my yard. So
do it.
Those are the poop ones. The poop ones work the best.
I mean,
I think that rot works better. So rotting pumpkins and rotting peppers have always made me the best pepper plants every year. I literally I cut them in rings, and then I let them rot until they get weird and rotty, and then that's what I bury. And I do the same thing with the pumpkins, but I let them get all moldy and weird with the pudding.
I take all my pumpkins at the end of Halloween and just throw them into the garden,
and then they all show up.
Let them all rot away there all winter long.
It works.
Yeah. Why make things complicated when they don't need to be? So brag on yourself a little. What was your biggest success starting out, and what's been your biggest success so far? What are you most proud of?
Ooh. I started a foraging certification, and that empowered the people who came through my last class. I had 12 students. I had at least 5 of them start their own business, and I have one of them that is working for Missouri Department of Conservation. I have another one that's working for Wildcat Glades as a foraging instructor.
I love it.
And then I have somebody working with the school system in St. Louis that is teaching for their STEM program. I have 2 of the moms that came through my certification that are teaching for the public school system in St. Louis for their STEM. And that is the mentorship that I do for the students that come through me is the thing that I'm the most proud about. Because it's never been, I'm not ever going to be impressed with anything that I do because I realize that it doesn't matter. Like, I've studied history too much. I'm a history major. Like, that's what my, like, just like I don't believe that you'll never convince me the Roman Empire fell. It was just rebranded. It's the Roman Catholic Church, and they're still in power. Like, you are not going to convince me that is not what is happening. Like, the way even the people in power who certainly like the Rothschilds, like, you know what I'm saying. Like, people who early bought, they already knew what they were doing because they watched the system before. And for me, coming in it from a feral human that didn't have control over those systems, knowing that, like, the food is always going to be there, or that the people and the connection in the community are what we've always had, that they can't replicate and they can't take, that's always been the part that was, like, the most important to me. Is because while I realized that I need to make Eating the Ozarks a brand so that it can be bigger for other people, it wasn't about being big for me. It was about how it can help education or how it can help farmers.
Right.
Because I'm ready just to disappear and be Tina Fey in Belize for a few weeks or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need that other, because I'm not. And I realized that after I started getting in, like, magazines and articles and things like that. Like, just in the last 2 years, I've got probably 18 different articles from front pages to newspapers, or even publishing, or getting welcomed out to the Smithsonian. Or not one time have I been like, well, that was what I did. That was cool. Like, I don't, like, there's not, I don't.
That's not what it's about.
No, it just doesn't matter. I wish that I was a little bit more narcissistic, that it mattered. Like, I wish that I cared more, but I honestly, an attaboy from somebody who's just another person isn't an attaboy. Like, I don't, but if I save the plants from being ignored and turn them into food for people who didn't know, there's a solution that was only me that could do, and that's the part of me that feels like I need to be me.
Right.
Because there's that feral part of me that's like, I'm going to do things differently and think out of the box and be super creative, and I turn a green juice curly dock into a curly dock curd that you could put over redbud cake, and there aren't that many people who are like in that weird psychosis of experimentation and playing around where nothing is real. that I can be like, I don't know if it's a sour in another. Like, we can just try it. And so that's why I feel like I'm in the right position to be doing what I'm doing, is because I think outside of the edges, but I don't need to own it, because I don't want to own it, because that means that I have to control it, and that's work. Right. And I just really want to be free on a river licking a bluff. Like, I really don't want to do that part. And that's as much as I know it's supposed to be bragging, it's also the worst part about my character, is that it's not follow through, it's replication. I do not replicate well. I can teach replication amazingly. I can hire somebody to do it excellent. Doing the same thing over and over again is a prison to me. Right. And so I need the freedom of flexibility of creativity, but that's also a gift that I can give to people that don't have it. Right. And constantly use it. And so figuring out how that balance works for me financially has been the trickiest part, is like, how do I give it all away to the people who can pay for it, and then give it away to the people who can't?
So financially, you have your foraging certification. What does that look like if somebody wanted to go through that? Like, how much does it cost? How long does it take?
So the certification is $1,700, and it's 3 weekends. It's full weekends, and so Bo and I came up with that number is because if you hire me for a private class, you get 3 hours for $350, and you can have up to 10 people, and you walk around. And so this is not just the 20 hours of in-person classes that you're getting. You're mentoring after with business, website design, anything that I can. I've helped them connect with schools. I've helped them with marketing. I've given them worksheets on class programs. I've been teaching for 10 years, and so I have dozens of outlines of programs, and I give all of that to any of my students for free so that they can do that. I'm not worried about cookie cuttering me, because I don't replicate it anyway. I'm going to do it one time, and I'm going to do it a different way the next time. And so giving all those programs to people who aren't great at outlines and what do they do. So like, I can have 12-week program with what tea you have every day, what plant you're introducing, your printout, and then what the recipe take home is. Gotcha. And so they're able to just follow it through and then do it. And so that's something that I'm really great at. I could probably write 50 books in my lifetime if I had a publisher on spices, blends, things like that. Right. But if I can figure out a way that the WOW school or the MSU cooking students were doing it instead of me being the author, I love that project even more because the creativity and the solutions that come through it. And so that's the part that I want to grow with later as I am developing into what Eating the Ozarks is. I want it to be more of a consultant brand for farmers, or an aggregator from different people that bring the food story in. But I don't want to lose the sight of that. I talk about fig leaves to the person who's already growing them, even though it's not a forage thing, because it's still a food solution of something that's here. Right. And I think that's the most important part that we're missing. It's not saying it's a vegetable or if it's a foraged. Right. It's how can you use this for something that you're already doing. And I think that with Mama Jean's, if we can do a make your own vanilla fig extract make and take class, that starts that conversation to anybody who has figs knowing it. But just like being the weed PR person, that's all we really need, is somebody who's able to do that for the local farms. And that's what I was doing when I was working with the gardens, is Miley was like, you're supposed to go talk about USDA programs. And I was talking about the USDA program in the high tunnel, but we were also talking about the honeysuckle on the edge row and how they were going to turn it in with their elderberry. And like, that was just the way, because I'm like, that's 12 different antivirals, and and
super invasive, so you can use it all.
Yeah, take it all. You don't have to feel bad about it. Like, just crop and take it all.
It's everywhere. I've got it all around the margin of my place. What do you wish you had known when you started on this whole journey?
I wish that I knew. I know that people say food is medicine, but I wish that we had a better connection to, if we ate the right foods, that we would not need medicine. And if we say food is medicine, but you already think that you have to be sick. And so if we already were eating, as I was around people who might be getting sick, if I was already eating elderberry or my wild oregano in my pizza, I've already got the thymol in my system that's going to fight it off like an antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, the second that the food poisoning comes into my system, whatever that is. And so I think that...
So it's almost thinking differently about medicine as well as thinking differently about food.
Because I started from the herbalist side, but then now from the food side, I would much rather put my herbals, like, so mullein. Yeah,
it's everywhere
I've been congested, and so if you put mullein in your tea, you will have,
I've been drinking nettle tea.
Do mullein, and put it through a coffee strainer.
Okay.
Pour it, you can do it with your coffee or your tea, just pour it through the same strainer over the top. mullein is a little slimy feeling, so you don't want to soak it for very long. You just want to do a pour over. My son, 3 or 4 days ago, he was like, Mom, I feel like every time I hack, I can't get it out. Like, I feel like I can't reach to get it out. It's thick. He was pulling mucus out of his mouth after drinking this mullein tea. He was, like, hacking and pulling it. Like, it, like, pushed it out of his lungs so much that it was, like, in a gel. Like, I've never seen. But then I was like, okay, I need some mullein tea too because I've been feeling it. And for 2 days, I like hacked up the biggest like manly loogies I've ever seen. And I'm like, this stuff works, but it breaks it all up.
Is mullein? Isn't that like
it's the furry? It looks like lamb's ear.
Okay. You know what? We took our 4-H kids to the watershed last week, and they showed them mullein and passed it around, and all the kids were like, "Wow, this is so cool!" And they learned about all the different ways you use mullein. And
the worst joke I saw during COVID was people talking about using it like toilet paper. Mm-hmm. Listen, those fine hairs.
It's got those little tiny. You can give yourself a horrible rash.
You would be looking like a dog that like scratches his butthole on the floor. Like that's what you would be looking if you drank.
It's like little tiny shards of glass.
All right, so I'll use it as a
and I saw all those things. They're like, use it like toilet paper, and I'm like, you do.
Is what they call it though?
Yeah, they are, and I'm like, this is some mean old man who said that to his grandkids, and it like got
and
out.
It's everywhere.
Okay, you know it's recorded right now.
This is a great
service for the people.
Well, good since it's recorded. The flowers of a mullein are they cure athlete's foot and ear infections and oral issues like with anything with gum and inflammation. And then the root is incredible for pain relief. I broke my tailbone when I was still breastfeeding my son, and I was not able to take anything. And I took mullein root. One day, the first day, I overdosed myself, and I will tell you that it was like I was on opium.
Oh my gosh.
I did not even have any feeling, and I was vacuuming, and my ex came home, and he was like, "Are you up holding a baby vacuuming right now?" And I was like, "I am great." And he's like, "You are not great. I did not believe that you were great. You were screaming yesterday." And I was like, and then I realized, I was like, how many, yeah, and I was like, I'm probably hurting myself worse. But I'm telling you, anybody who would go to take an opioid who has an issue with that from back surgery or anything, I don't know, because mullein doesn't have the same negative side effects.
I've never heard of anybody getting addicted to mullein.
No, and the same with the other. And so I definitely think that the medicinal side for me is still as important as it was when I first took it, as much as I'm focused on food now. But if we are talking mullein is not a food, but it is a great medicine. And so I use it for tea, for anti-mucus mostly.
Okay.
But the flowers
hot
for sure.
tips.
Yeah, right.
Lots of
not
tips.
Toilet paper.
Not toilet paper.
Yes, do not use it as toilet paper. So what advice would you give someone who wanted to get into foraging? For medicine, for food, any of it.
Modern day now, I would get into it the same way that I got into it before. I would get a wildflower ID guidebook, and then I would write on it once you find, because what I refer to kindly as Dr. Google will give you, once you know the Latin name with confidence of what you're looking at. There are so many foraging books and things out there. I wrote a book called Wild Foraged, and it's an introduction to 23 plants and mushrooms. It's got excellent color photos of 3 or 4 of each plant.
Are those local plants here?
Yes, but also those plants, if you were in California, this book would be useful to you. If you were in Washington, I think there's only 2 or 3 plants, like maybe the morel, that would be found in isolated areas like Illinois, Georgia, Tennessee, here in our region. But for the most part, besides the mushrooms, all of the plants we found, I picked things that were everywhere.
Okay.
But besides picking up my book, because it's the super highlight, you can get a foraging ID book somewhere, but I even love Bo Brown, and I'm telling you, his book's great, but I can't learn from one picture. I can't see one single photo and be like, this is for sure what I'm looking at, and I don't know of an ID book that has multiple color photos, which is why, but mine only has 23, which is why I say if you're really wanting to get started, if you get a local wildflower ID guide, they'll have them color coded. You'll end up with 600 flowers.
Right.
98% of edible plants produce some type of a flower for ID. And so it's just the easiest way for you to really see what you're looking at and then go consult. But I always consulted at least 3 things. I didn't call myself an expert until Bo Brown's foraging book came out. So I was already teaching for more than 8 years, and I would not have called myself an expert. I had a mental block against it.
Yeah.
And when Bo Brown's foraging book came out, and I read it cover to cover, and there wasn't a new plant in it, I was mad about it. And I was complaining to Brad, and I was like, there was not a single new plant. And he's like, so you're telling me you just read the Foraging of the Ozarks book, and you didn't learn anything, and you're complaining about it. And I was like, I just wanted a new plant. Like, I wanted one thing that was going to be like a new, known to me. I'm sure there was facts and tidbits, for sure, that he told me about that I didn't know from his rabbit holes. But that was the moment that I was like, okay, fine. All right, fine. If you can read the Foraging the Ozarks book and there isn't a plant that you didn't know, you might be an expert. But I'm only an expert in that's what I'm saying. But it's only those plants. Like, and it's not, the expertise is just the association that I know them. Like, I know, like, how I would know, like, how you know Christina or how you know your kid. Like, it's because I'm up close and I talk to them. Yeah. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that plants see and they have more photosynthesizers
Synthesizers?
No. That's what I was going to say. No, receptors?
Photoreceptors.
And so there's certain parts that'll open and close to give different lights. Like, there's certain plants, and one of them is the St. John's wort that has the little eyelets that'll let it go all the way through. And so anytime I'm up on those, I'm like, are you blinking right now? And something, but it's just like having that relationship that you know what it is. Yeah. And we're so desensitized from the fact that an oak tree is looking back that we think that it's okay just to rip or do. And so I think that part of connection. And so from the Ozarks, the beginning of our talk, when I was like, we're here in this weird melting pot of people who are not that friendly. If I tried to get people in the Ozarks to start going forest bathing with me, I might have the yoga crowd, but for the most part, I am dead ears. But the second that I say it's a foraging hike to go gather something for free as food and medicine, these people are out there feeling so much better and not knowing why that I tricked them into forest bathing. And that's the goal now. It's like, what is the marketing, like the PR for together to get people where they're actually, and so when you asked me where I was going in the future, and I smiled for a second, I have joked around that when the kids graduate and I can't get the kids taken from me for being a pastor, I'm going to start River Church. Okay. I'm going to be a River Church. And come down on Sunday and you get wild food from nature's garden and you get a tube and you float and we connect with people. Like how Unity Church, but no, it's River Church. And like you go on every Sunday down to River Church, and it's a not-for-profit that takes donations from other people, and we float on Sunday.
Is this like Christian spirituality based?
No, it's earth worship, dirt, mud, liquor face. Like it's bluff believer, the bluff believer. Like I'm just telling you though, like because I want people like that whole community. Do you remember Pollyanna? And they had this like the downtown where like everybody has like the big old town, like everybody's like licking their ice cream and like eating the watermelon and the other. Yeah. I want that feeling of the Ozarks, and like that's what I tried to do with this wild food fair. But I think once the kids graduate, I might just start a River Church and be like a non-for-profit, like out there. Like I don't know, she's already got the camel, because that's the new goal. I've been reading all about camels. Oh. So there's a guy in Urbana who has a couple camels, and you can pay $5 to ride a camel. I have so many photos of this. I have done this loop. Camels can eat honeysuckle and kudzu. They're broadleaf, like a goat. They also have nice little feet that are great on our rocky terrain. They're great in desert climate, and they don't need to eat any grass. Why are we not riding camels?
And then like we can
they're okay. I mean, they have like a horse. Like you just have them in your little barn. Like I don't know.
There's different kinds of camels though. There's like the hot weather camels. There's the cold weather camels. So
the guy there, he's got hot weather camels. But so he has two, and he was like, I picked up like this baby was like $2,500, and I'm like, that's cheaper than a horse.
Are they one-hump camels or two-hump camels?
One-hump camels.
Okay, so they're dromedaries.
You know a lot about camels.
You know, right?
A surprising amount about camels.
Oh my gosh! Like, look, I've got a camel. I've got a camel person here. I am vertically challenged, Marnie, and every time I'm there, standing on the top of my Subaru, trying to get the wild grapes, I think to myself, if only I had a camel, and then I would be this wizard of the woods. I would even wear the purple wizard hat, and they would be like, I don't know, she's got this long brown hair, and she like rides a camel through the Ozarks, and she's foraging grapes, and then that's how legends are made.
I think we all need to lean into eccentricity. That's definitely where I'm going.
Oh, you and me both. I wore the pink wraparound sunglasses with the teal flowers.
I love it.
I told my daughter this. I was like, I am I'm drinking water out of martini glasses only with umbrellas now just to confuse people. And it was just straight vodka walking. And I'm like, I'm going to go through the car line at school with the martini. Just to throw
that.
Like I'm done. Like I'm already that mom. I'm already.
I love it.
So.
I'll be like, oh, it's just Rachel. She's fine.
So tell us more about the stuff that you have here. I'm going through all the questions.
So
let's
so this is the Spice Market. This is the one that this is something I'm gonna mail to them. This is the presentation
so what all do you have
that I
in your
just showed.
Spice Market? Show me your Spice Market. You got oregano, so you got some sumac in there.
The only thing that I'm gonna add to this before I ship it is the freeze-dried elderberries.
Okay.
So this is gonna go
now, which is delicious.
So in these are more. This is Spice Bush. So this is what we're gonna call Ozarks Bay.
Okay.
You should open that and smell it.
I have Spice Bush.
Turkey tail. Spice Bush is my favorite.
Spice Bush is so lovely.
Turkey tail. You can, if they're dried, you can get more than 400 times the vitamin D. So being able to dry them upright in a solar dryer outside for farmers, and then put them into something where they could use it as a simmer pot or coffee.
Okay.
So these are just packages that I can write on that I can send them. This is a sumac powder, and then our juniper. I left the leaves in there. I don't like them all perfect. I'm weird like that.
It's much more aesthetic.
And so the goal with this is to be able to show what we could have on edge rows that would be super sustainable. Mm-hmm. I've got a tea that we're going to do, and then a smoked garlic mustard that I'm adding to this to send. But the garlic mustard will be I'm going to write on it smoked wild grains, even though I'm only using garlic mustard, because I want the flexibility to any wild grains throughout the season that we can still smoke like that. But I'm specifically going to pull garlic mustard for this experiment.
So tell me what you do with your Spice Bush, because I have a Spice Bush and I like to walk by and pet it and smell it.
You just need my cookbook. I should have brought you one.
I do need your cookbook.
You can fold it into butter.
Okay.
Cream it into butter. Cream the fresh leaves with an immersion blender into butter. Save that butter and use it for deglazing the skillet with green beans. Put it in your chocolate chip cookies. Put it in your muffins.
Nice.
Anything like that. The berries, I like blending with Italian dressing.
Okay.
And then we do a sticky chicken. It turns it like orange frothy. Mm-hmm. And so that's a perfect like sticky chicken. The Spice Bush, the red berries have an orange peel, cumin.
Okay.
Allspice. The green berries are black pepper, cardamom, allspice.
Nice.
And so I save the green berries before they turn red, both. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
High in omega-3, so you have to freeze them.
Okay.
And then
the berries.
Juniper, antibacterial, antiseptic, excellent for starting yeast. The white sheath on the outside is a natural yeast. But I do a juniper berry vinegar, and so that's what leads me to this here.
Yes.
So my products, I have elderberry good stuff, and that was the first one. That was the one that we decided to do through the gardens. I was already working with farmers and trying to get them to develop a value-added product, and we were not successful with any of them really following through. And so Miley and I decided that I needed a product that we could use from different local farmers, and so I had Eating the Ozarks already formed. So I decided that elderberry good stuff would eventually aggregate local elderberries.
Okay.
Is the goal for that.
Maybe some
this one came when I was homeschooling, Made with Love in the Heart of the Ozarks. This is the elderberry good stuff lemonade.
Okay.
And my son runs a lemonade stand when I set up at certain places.
So this is just elderberry, sugar, and vinegar. So
white wine.
It's
rice wine. Mm-hmm. And so it is like a salad dressing or something you would put in a seltzer or pour over goat cheese. It's already ready to go.
Is it like a shrub?
It is a shrub.
Oh, it is a shrub. Okay.
I got so tired of trying to tell people what a shrub was. That it's an elderberry shrub. Good stuff.
Got it.
Because saying shrub,
people
everybody's
get confused.
Like, what is that?
Yes.
And if I said good stuff, then they would put it on anything.
Yeah.
So it was just
makes sense.
PR.
Gotcha.
Dandelion root syrup is amazing. It has to be refrigerated, so I haven't really even wanted to get into that unless it's for a bride or a specific thing. I just use that for that. This logo is one of my most favorite. It's just a question mark, but it's a beautiful botanics, and it took, as you can see, I've got my elderberry leaves, and it's got the flowers from a dandelion. And so it's a combination. Pretty. And so what this is whatever I want it to be. This is a pawpaw vinegar. This is so any of our test pilot. One time to get it on a shelf, but it still looks pretty enough, and I can circle it because it's on a white label, whereas these are suggestions with how to use them. This is, I will write it, or I can give you a suggestion.
Yes.
And so I did that one because I realized that I would never make all. The juniper is really, really great. I do a potato salad or marinade. This has no sugar in it.
Mm-hmm.
I also have one that I don't have on here that's called, it's berry vinegar, and it's a little confusing because this says juniper berry vinegar, but it says berry vinegar, and it's got a bear
Okay.
holding a juniper and an elderberry, and what it is, it's the washing, and it would be a free product that is from this elderberry, all the berries that we've already boiled and washed off, and all the juniper berries, you pour over apple cider vinegar, so it costs $4.
Right.
Reboil it, and then you end up with this free second washing double berry vinegar. And so that would be a complete fundraiser, but I've already got the label made called berry vinegar.
Cute.
And it's for fundraising because it's the wash.
I love it. Your art. Where did you?
Well, Marley made these for me, but I sent her, I sent her all of the, I literally picked out the colors in the mule, and
very cool.
I usually already know what I want before I get an artist to do.
So I have something I want to ask you. This is a personal thing.
Sure.
So Chris and I are getting married in July.
Okay.
June 1st. I'm a liar. June 1st. And we're going to have a cocktail for her. And I don't drink, so I want to make a mocktail.
Okay.
And I was wondering if you had ideas or might help me figure something out.
So mocktail, we could do a mocktail of a French 75.
Okay.
And I could do the infused juniper vinegar with a seltzer and a simple syrup, or you could do the seltzer with the elderberry good stuff to make it like the elder, but a mocktail on that, because the orange, orange LaCroix with the elderberry good stuff is phenomenal, and it's bright and it's fizzy and bubbly.
I love it.
And it would look like it was in a cocktail.
That'd be so fun.
But you could taste, I'll just need to give you an elderberry good stuff, and then you just need to, I can tell you, the mango's really good with it, but you can just pick, and, y'all just hang out and have a date night and decide.
Love it, love it, love it.
But yeah.
Beautiful.
Midwest Foraging Convention is something that I put on last year. It was incredible. I had 80 people show up over 2 days at $3.75 a piece. They ate and they did 6 or 7 foraging hikes. They learned how to inoculate mushrooms. They learned how to make tinctures and salves and things like that. Mama Jean's is going to be sponsoring this year.
Okay.
And they are going to be doing the bison on a stick and probably giving me the cream for the ice cream.
Nice.
But I think that we as a whole, as a community, need to look in more of what is not exchanging money, but exchanging things that we already have for the greater good of bringing people together. And I don't know how to do the partnerships all on my own, because at some point it's going to come out in the wash.
Yeah.
But there are so many people that are willing to get behind or to donate their services versus donate the time.
Right.
And if there was a way that we could do some kind of community event where all of this was open.
Love it.
Where Bass Pro was paying the speaker and Mama Jean's was donating the other, then you could literally have a walk in the park or a weed it and eat it at Phelps Grove.
Right.
Or anything like that. And the people are already there behind it trying to connect the community. And they want to figure out how to sponsor it. Just another conversation to have. But since Mama Jean's is definitely willing to throw in the food, I think that's
amazing.
That is amazing.
Congrats.
That's great.
Thanks, yeah. I just think that we've got a lot of people that are behind what we're doing, and there's a lot of connection. And that's why I'm looking forward to coming back to the gardens 1 day a week.
Okay.
I'm going to be working 1 day a week from the kitchen, and I'll work 1 day a week from home.
Okay.
We haven't really set what the 1 day a week from home specifically is. Miley mentioned that I might be helping Anna with farmer outreach, or I might be doing my own farmer outreach on projects that I've already got rolling, like with Millsap Farm or with the ag school. As long as it folds into the grants, I've got a lot of flexibility with Miley. If I can figure out how it folds into her story, she knows that I show up. You can hire me for 20 hours, and I'm going to give you 40 if the project needs to be done.
Right.
Getting me to come into town more than 1 day a week isn't probably going to happen. But I can do 1 day. I live in Long Lane, so it's about an hour each way.
Oh, wow.
And I'm down with Audible books, but I moved out there because I wanted to be there. Yeah. And it doesn't make, I love parts of Springfield and Bing, but I need
the plant people, the plant community, and the community of growers has been one of my favorite things about working here. We do really attract weird, wonderful, very, very generous, sweet, compassionate people.
I would say 80% of the people in my circle are entrepreneurs, and that is not that many people. That most people cannot say that everybody around them owns their own business or teaches or does. And just because of the world that I've put myself in the center of, everybody's doing something incredible
all
around
busy,
me. And like, that's the
busy
only thing
doers.
that keeps me from the dark ages right now and what's happening overseas, and not letting it, like, the part of me that wants to like just scream and freak out is also like, everybody around you is loving and doing good things. And you have to like be in that heart so that you can serve them, because if you can't, like, but it's so hard to watch, like.
It's really hard.
Yeah. Because if I didn't have kids, I would not be still sitting. I would be a journalist over there in some bunker yelling out, for sure. Like, that's in my heart. Like, I am not a human is a human, but I'm a human of people who definitely traveled and spoke out and yelled and conducted. Like, I definitely feel that like Lady Justice in my heart so much. Like, I speak for the people in the trees, and like, I'll always go against the grain if it's like hindering or hurting or, you know.
I love it.
But yeah, I think that foraging is a connection to people and pathways, and I think that the more people that learned how to forage, especially if we could get it in grade school, the less disconnected from the travelers of all the people. And that's why I really think that it would be so cool. I know that the melting pot already exists as far as like a fondue restaurant, but I love the idea of having this foraged melting pot restaurant where it was something from every type of culture. And like where you see the people standing around and they're all holding, but it was like something from everywhere, but it all found here in the Ozarks, and like that's what's on your plate. Like I just love that idea of like the food story.
This is the native. This is this native group.
And so I think it'd be really cool if you were like from the forest
Germans,
and from the field, but like this is from the German and this is from the Armenians,
Chinese,
and like you could
I love it.
But can you imagine getting to eat at an international restaurant like that, where you were literally eating foods that were all grown here?
That's amazing.
That were international foods, like on a menu.
Yeah.
Like that's who we need to get on our board. Like we
the
need,
foods
I don't want
are-
to be the chef though. Chefs are weird and they work with alcoholics, and I'm not interested. You tell me I'm wrong.
No, it's very true.
They are. They're like
extremely true.
working in the back kitchen there at the cellar was the worst experience. Like
Oh, really?
Oh, restaurants are a mess.
Oh, I've worked in them.
it's like Hell's Kitchen back in there, and
It
people
can
do
be
it like it's like
pretty intense. Pretty intense back there.
I'm just not.
Well, you're in the right place. Though.
I am. I'm
Our
with my
kitchen,
planty people.
the
Your
SCG
kitchen, yeah.
kitchen
I'm
is
the
a
only
whole
one in there.
other story.
I'm the only one dropping pans in there yelling shit fire. They're like, that lady in the kitchen. And I'm like, sorry, Martha.
Who is she here with?
And then they're like, I think she's in there like rising spirits or something.
Just leave her alone. Leave her alone.
Well,
Thank
what other questions you have?
I-
Anything else you want to ask?
No, I think this
could
is
sit
great.
and
And this
talk for
just
another, like,
all
20
makes
hours.
just so much sense. I'm glad that we got to include a
Yes.
forest gardener, forest farmer,
Thank you.
foraging
I love it.
perspective. So thank you for spending time.
I'm looking forward to seeing the project and what all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very excited.